Greetings, Mythics. How are we all? Yes, it is another Saturday. It is another 10 a.m. UK time. There or thereabouts. I don't know why I looked over there. You're right over there? Yeah, good. My name is Ken Boyter. This is Grockle Snook. This is Edra Tales. And this live stream is Edra Scrolls, the ramblings of a storyteller. This is where we talk about fantasy. We talk about your creative projects. We talk about my creative projects. And obviously we then ramble off into something else. Good morning, Martha. How are you? How are you? Now you have to excuse my hair. I have literally just woken up. I woke up at 9:40. And yeah, I had planned. Listen to this. I'd set alarms at 8 a.m, 10 past 8, 20 past 8 and 8:30. And I have a vague recollection of turning one of those off, and the rest I'd missed. So somehow I slept through my alarms, which is quite incredible. And I don't know about you, Martha. Good evening, Lirin. How are you, sir? Everybody yawns and looks for coffee. Yeah, I don't know if you guys, do you sometimes wake up like dead in the middle of the night, or like 3 a.m. is the classic time to wake up. Apparently it's the witching hour. I tend to wake up about 3 a.m. probably most nights. I never used to. I don't know quite what it's about. Good morning, Sally. Just got back from a run, tired, also need coffee. Wow, very impressive that you go out for a run in the morning. Well done. I basically just managed to stumble to the bathroom. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Excuse my hair because I didn't have time to have a bath. So my hair is looking a bit of a mess, a bit of a crumpled mess. But yeah, so for example, I woke up last night about 3 a.m. and I was pretty wide awake. And then my brain starts going, right, let's think about your projects. So do I get up and work on projects knowing that, yeah, it's probably not a good idea? Or do I just read, or do I just try and get back to sleep? So I tried getting back to sleep, that didn't work. So I read for about an hour and a half. And then obviously if it's natural, if I don't have to get up, then my body will just sleep in till about 9:30, 10 o'clock. Martha's put it, I'm tired and woke up before my alarm due to a nightmare. Oh, sorry to hear about the nightmare. Yeah, I had a dream. Yeah, I had a dream that's vaguely there in my head, but I can't quite remember it. But it wasn't a nightmare, so I do feel for you there, Martha. And good morning, Jam. Oh. I knew I'd forgotten something. My conglomeration of creative gaming patrons. Yes. Good morning. Is that the collective noun, is it? Leaving Spirit, always have some earplugs during winter because there is no noise. No, there is no worse way to wake up than a screech of a what? Of a mosquito flying in your ear at 2:30 in the morning. Yes. Yeah, mosquito noises are annoying, aren't they? We're quite fortunate in this country because we don't really have mosquitoes in the cities. Am I correct in this? Yeah. Do we have mosquitoes in this country at all? I don't know. I don't think we do. But we have midges. But they're normally on the hills, and they're like swarms of little midges. But they don't make any noise, they just swarm your face. But we do have flies. We do have flies that make, and some of them make a yay, yay, yay sort of noise. So that can be annoying. Plenty in the country. Oh, is there? We've got mosquitoes, do we? Yeah, but not in the cities. It's normally in marsh areas, isn't it? Yeah, we have bitey flies. Yeah, we've got horse flies, which are horrible. Horse flies are big, mother. And if they bite you, yeah, you know about it. I've never found an infamous fingernails on a blackboard to be at all horrid, oddly enough. Oh, really? Yeah. I think with that, that's a good point. I think if I can see that it's going to happen, I think I'm all right with it. But if I'm looking away and then someone does it, I think it kind of gets me. It sort of sends a shiver down my spine. So, yes. It's a bit crazy. So there we go. So I have literally only just woken up. And I've been ill, quite, not massively poorly, but poorly enough for me to knock me out for 2 days. And just sleep. And do low-level stuff, really. So that was a bit frustrating this week. Fork screeching on a plate puts my teeth on edge, right? I'll note that down, Sally. Time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana. And that's why I got the bell, Jam. That's why I got the bell. You're very good. You're very good. Very quick. Very quick. So yes. So last week, how's people's weeks been? So I was ill for about 2 days and then not 100% during the rest of the week. But I managed to get stuff done. And I've still got a bit of a cold, if you can probably hear now. So, I didn't get as much as I thought I would, gamebook-wise. Which is a bit frustrating, but hey, you've just got to face reality. That happens sometimes, doesn't it? To Kill a Thief, been working on my gamebook, though. I have been working on my gamebook. We are now, this is my flowchart diagram. This is the key to the whole book. I've written about 245 entries. 245 entries, which is, what's that? That's over halfway, because I'm aiming for about 400. So what percentage is that? That's probably about 60%, is it? Is it 60% of the book finished? Which is not bad. 55%? I'm rubbish with percentages. So, put it this way. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, God. 5.5. It's 5.5 pages of my plan left. God. That's 5.5 pages. So how many have I done then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, that's not bad. So 14.5 pages is the whole book in flowchart diagram form, and I've done 9 pages. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Dislike so much having much stuff. What? Dislike so much having too much stuff in Skyrim. Oh, too much stuff, yes. So too much stuff in that context, Martha. I normally don't really correct you on your English, but this time it's T-double-O. English is a difficult language. It really is. Having too much would be T-O-O. If you've got too much of something. Too much stuff in Skyrim. I don't even have a horse. Don't even have a horse. Skyrim's tricky with the horses, though, because they can die. I've just woken up. Oh, no, I didn't mean to pick on you, Martha. I didn't mean to pick on you. It was just that I couldn't read this. It does alter the meaning of the sentence, which is why I stumbled on it, basically. Yeah, having a horse in Skyrim is always dangerous, though, isn't it? Because they can get killed. So if you buy a horse and they're expensive, they're like $2,000, then and then it just gets eaten by a pack of wolves or, clawed to death by a bear. I did that once. I saved up for a horse. I was very pleased with myself, and then I think it got killed by a bear, and I was like, oh, come on now! I've just spent $2,000 on this thing. On this mode of transport rather than a human live animal. Lehman has put it. Have you yet to try the Assassin's Guild side quest? Never felt comfortable doing evil playthroughs. Normally I drink troll's blood. Now I'm drinking trolls. Right. Good morning, Jonathan. Yeah, Jonathan's put here, I never bought a horse in Skyrim, I just nicked them. Yeah, well, that's what you learn. You learn the tough way. I spent £2,000 on a horse. It gets clawed to death by a bear, and I'm like, right, I'm never buying a horse again. And then occasionally, though, you do just find random horses that I don't think are owned by anybody. So occasionally you do that. So I have one of those. Although there is a quest, the best horse I ever had was like the Death Horse, which was the Underworld horse, where I think it's the one where you go into the Daedra area, it's all like hell. And you do a quest and you get given as rewards a staff, I think it is, or something. But anyway, you can summon this Death Horse. It's like a ghostly horse that appears. It never dies. Oh no, if it dies, it just disappears. Then you just summon it again. It was the best sort of reward for a quest I think I ever did. It was amazing. So I used to use that a lot. Martha's put it, there are 1,000 gold. Oh, there are 1,000 gold in Skyrim, and all I have to do, and I do have, is a stray dog. Cute, but so much barking. Yeah, the stray dog. I've forgotten his name. Although, can you get different stray dogs? There is a quest where a dog is a speaking dog, I think, and it's something connected to a god. I can't quite remember fully, but that was a good quest. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. There are 1,000 gold pieces. That's a lot. When you first start out in Skyrim, that's when I bought my first horse. It was like, right, I'm going to save up for a horse. Although it's pretty cool when you could then fight in combat on your horse, you could actually swing your sword and your weapons. Because when I first started playing Skyrim, you couldn't do that. You had to get off your horse and then fight. So that was pretty cool. Oh, I see. Jonathan nicks them from bandits. Yeah, that's a good idea. Of course, I hadn't thought of that because the law isn't really going to come after you, are they? And they're not going to go to the law. That's a good... There's a spider in your orange jam. I've told you about this. Lyrian's put in, you'd be surprised how fast you can run as a werewolf, running from a bandit camp to bandit camp, singing, food, glorious food, from Oliver Twist. You mean Aardvark, but that means you have to do the Dawnguard thing. Oh, is Aardvark the dog then? No. Oh no, Barbus. Barbus is the dog, I think. My friend was upset yesterday and asked me to console him, so I smacked him with my Xbox. It's better than a box. Yeah, I do have an Xbox. Okay, so, so what have you guys been working on? Has it been a busy week for you? Did you get productive? Was it productive? Or was it like me where you didn't quite get as much done as you thought you did because of various different reasons? For me, it was my just being poorly for a couple of days. So, yes, To Kill a Thief. As I say, I've written 245, trying to write with no luck. Oh, sorry to hear that, Martha. Keep going, though. Keep going. I mean, writing the game book has been a great experience. It's always, nothing's wasted. It's always a learning curve. And so I've written 245 entries, or there or thereabouts, because I've now got into the Jonathan and Jem can relate to this. I've now got into the actually I need an A and a B on this one. It's like 240, and then I do need another one now that I hadn't planned for. 240A, 240B, that kind of thing. So I've got a few of those in there. So when I look at my entries, I'm still keeping the system that's on here so that I don't go insane trying to work it all out. But of course, on here I haven't taken into account the A's or the B's throughout my actual written entries. So I might have done about 250 entries if I include all of those. But yeah, I had hoped to be at 300 at the end of this week, so I'm 50 entries down. But then, as Sally quite rightly pointed out, that yes, you can go over. You know, you could. You know, I've said May that I want to deliver the game book in May, but I can go over that deadline. You know, it's not the end of the world. You know, if I miss it by a month, which is true. However, I don't really want to do that because, you know, you want to deliver on time. You know, the deadline that you've set yourself, I guess. But because it's the first time I've done it, I didn't really know how long it would take me to write a game book. Didn't you say March? No, I said May. I'm pretty sure it's May. Oh, sorry, in terms of deliver everything to the backers. But I originally wanted to get the first draft of the game book written by the end of January, so I could send it off to playtesters for February, and then send it off to the printer in March, you know, or April. Because then that gives them enough time for me to get it back in May. However, it's taking longer to write the game book. That's partly due to my being ill, partly due to obviously me not being a full-time writer, and I've got other stuff to do, I've got other responsibilities. So, however, I do think I might get the first draft written. If I'm being honest, it's, you know, to myself, I think it's probably going to be the end of May now. Probably be the end of May. And also, it's some entries are easier to write than others. I know that sounds obvious, but I hadn't really thought of that. So, for example, I've done my first puzzle. I'm not big on puzzles. Myself, you know, like, I think they're good in game books, obviously, and that's part of the fun. Can you solve this puzzle? Can you solve that puzzle? And I quite like them, but I guess I'm, you know, yeah, I hadn't really thought about putting puzzles in the game book. However, I have got puzzles in the game book, so for those of you that do like puzzles, I've put a few in there. And that took absolutely ages to work them out. There's 3 puzzles that I've now come to. Yeah, Jonathan's put, I spent 2 hours writing one section the other day, and it wasn't a particularly long one. Yeah, it's bonkers, isn't it? Yeah, because, yeah, I spent probably 2 hours, maybe... Yeah, I've probably spent 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, I don't know, on these puzzles. Maybe 3 hours, because I've got 3 of them. And because I hadn't really done those puzzles before, you know, you're kind of learning a new skill, which way it takes the time. So, but it's interesting. And I thought I could put this off, because I could just put insert puzzle here. And I thought, well, I know I'm going to have to do it at the end, though, so I might as well do it now. But sometimes I have put a few inserts here. God, why have I got an itchy nose? What does that mean? Is that you, Grogglesnook? And also, yeah. So I because I have put a few inserts here now, because that does tend to interrupt the flow of the writing. So sometimes I might put XXX and then highlight it if it's somebody's name, because I like to think up names properly and give them a good sounding name, one that I can spell, one that I can say actually. So that is why, yes. So I do know that once I finish the first draft, I am going to have to go back and do the odd name here and there. So it's not too much work. But yeah, with these puzzles, I thought I'd better do them just to prove that I could do it, rather and then, because if I couldn't have done those puzzles, I would have had to find a different thing to do for that section, those 3 sections, and I'd rather know about it now than if I'd finished it all and then all the other things written around it, you know, and it's locked in that I was going to do those puzzles. So I'm quite happy with that. It took a lot of time, but I'm very happy with it, and I know how to do it now. I fell asleep on a jigsaw and woke up with a puzzled look on my face. So where are you touring, Jem? Where are you touring? So yeah, so I'm very happy about that. Although, yeah, and I do need... I've got to come up with a game of how to gamble, like gambling. Oh, and that was the other thing with these puzzles. I wanted something slightly different. I wanted something that I hadn't seen in a game book before. Not that that means that it's not been done, because I've not played every game book, but, you know, something that wasn't overly common. Yeah, and it might be the first time this type of puzzle's ever been used in a game book. I don't know. So when you guys read it, you know, you can set me straight on that. But yeah, so I'm very happy with it. Plus, I do need to. I've got two gambling scenes. One relatively early in the game book, and one sort of, well, just now, around about 230. So I do need to work out a different game for people to gamble. So I might look something up, or I might try and make up a little game. But that's part of the fun. So I think that's all my game book news, basically. It's plodding along. Do we get to pay off our tab? You will get a chance, yes, Martha. At the end of the game book, is this spoilers? You will get a chance to pay the tab. And I do believe I have written how much the tab is now. I can't remember because it was earlier on in the book. So basically the book, again, without giving too much spoilers, is sort of in two paths. It's sort of two halves of the adventure. So the first half, I'm pretty sure you learn how much your tab is. Yeah. So there we go. So that is the game book. I'm enjoying it immensely. But it is, yeah, it's just some entries, as Jonathan has pointed out, do take longer than others, which can be surprising. And yeah, we are playing the dungeon on Blood Island by in Livingston, Fighting Fantasy. It's very enjoyable. It's very good. And so I've taken solace, and I don't feel too bad if I write a short entry now. You know, because I always want to give people value for their money. Oh, that's a good picture. I don't want to spoil this for you, but yeah, look. So the entries aren't particularly big. In fact, I don't think there's an entry. I did, because I flicked through it. Look, that's one of the longer ones. But I don't think any entry goes over the page. Oh, there's this one. Okay, so we've got that. So this is probably the longest, and then that. So it's a page and a half. Is the longest one, and that is your adventure is over. I've just realised why they've done that now. I'm sure, and Jonathan, or Jam, or anyone can, yeah, where it says, I'm going to cover the number as well. Where it says, look, subtly it just says your adventure is over. Your adventure is over. Didn't the original ones have it in bold? I'm sure the original ones had that in bold. So that, I guess when you flick through, you could roughly see how many deaths there are. Lyrin's put here, a mini board game where you put tokens, like buttons or pennies, on the board and race around the board page Monopoly style. Oh, that's quite fun. Early FF gamebooks had challenges where you played mini board games, even darts, with a dungeon inhabitants. Fantastic. How do you play darts? Oh, darts is quite good, isn't it? Because it's sort of like a roll of the... Yeah, I guess with darts, you could roll a 1d6, couldn't you? Or look, on the Fighting Fantasy ones, they've got the dice on here, but you could never get more than 20, could you? So how would you play darts? Was it them just saying you roll? You know, you throw your first dart. If it's a 1, 2, or 3, it goes off the board. If it's a 5, 4, 5, you know, how do you equate that to the darts? 180. Living's put here. Steve Jackson literally asked you to stab a page with the pencil. Oh, I see. So what? There was like a like the lone wolf combat system where you actually just stab the pencil. Oh, okay. God forbid, yeah. I know, nowadays it's like, don't touch the game book. Don't write on it. Don't even look at it. I want it for my collection. Dartboard illustration. Oh, I see, there was a dartboard illustration, of course. And you just... That is pretty funny. That's pretty cool. Would that suit my one? I don't think it would. Because it's not... I'm not in a tavern. This gambling... takes place. Shall I spoil it? I don't know. It takes place in a market day. There's a market day that happens that you stumble across. And so I thought, it'd be quite fun if you had someone. I did think about find the lady or find the dragon. You know, where you've got 3 cups and you have to guess which one the ball is under or whatever. I did think about that. But how would you do that in gamebook form? That's the question, isn't it? Did you write on some of the old character sheets in Ollie's game? If so, I can barely read it. Oh, I see. So what I tend to do, I saw 2 illustrations. What? One was healthy and the other was an illustration. Yeah, does that work with that one, Jam? Because what's a stration? A stration on its own. Healthy. Look at me picking apart your jokes. What sort of mate am I? A concerned one, you know. I want you to hit the top treble 20 with your jokes. So yeah, so I was trying to work out how you would do Find the Lady, where you could sort of play it, because you can't just write, right, go get 3 cups, you know, because how can you do Find the Lady when it's just you, because you know exactly where it is. So I was thinking, how do you do that? And I haven't given it much thought, but it would be nice to I don't know, because Find the Lady is impossible to win anyway. Well, me, the 13th Duke of Malmesbury, finding the lady? Rather. Not in my experience, Jonathan. Not in my experience. Is it? Yeah. I think Find the Lady it's a scam, isn't it? Because they do something, they trick you. Whereas I think genuinely, if it was a genuine game, you might be able to guess it. You know, you might be able to do it. Roulette wheels, says Lirin, where you rapidly flick through the book appeared in Sorcery 2. Oh, okay. If you stop on a page with a winning gold piece, count 5. Yeah, you win that much. If you blank, you lose 1 gold back. Oh, I see, yeah. So you sort of go, yeah, 189 to 190. So win 0. Oh, I see, you win 0. Oh, yeah. Okay, 144 to 145. I'd win 5 gold pieces. Yeah, that works. Yeah, it's just things like that, isn't it? Stration may be referred to a family of computer worms. There you go, Jam. Worms, or to a medical or gynecological term. Thank you very much. That told me, didn't it, Grocklesnook? I stand corrected. Your joke is now officially approved. Yeah, so that's something that I'm going to think of. Because I think earlier I've got a game where it's basically higher or lower. where you roll the dice. And no, I've got a different gambling game that I can't remember how I've done it. But I did think about, you could do higher and lower, where you write down what you think, you know, the dice is going to roll, and you roll it, and you get, and you know, and if it's higher, great. If it's lower, not so good. And then you keep going. You have to do that 3 or 4 times in a row. I had thought of that. I stand corrected, said the man to the orthopedic slippers. So yeah, so there you go. So I am looking for another gambling game, but you know, the one thing that I really liked, I do remember, and I can't remember which book it's from, so you guys can help me because you're fighting fantasy experts. Where you play Liar's Dice. I'm pretty sure you play Liar's Dice in a barracks or a prison. That narrows it down. And it is obviously one of the early fighting fantasy game books. But I just remember, oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You can play a little game. That's pretty cool. So, I think the thing is, though, like, you could have it where, roll the dice, if you get 3 6s in a row, you win. Yeah, or roll the dice, if you get 1, 2, you know, if you get 1, 2 or 3 times in a row, you lose. If you get 4, 5 and 6... But then all of that sort of thing relies on the person playing being honest, which I guess is what you have to be anyway. Because doing a flick through here, you could go, oh, look, 208 to 209, I didn't win a gold piece. Or did it? Yeah, I didn't roll that. Look, I got that one. Yay. Do you see what I mean? So you could, you know, the whole system relies on the player being honest. And we all know how that works out. Right, so that's the game books. So that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Jam, how's your game book coming along? Because I'm very well aware we've also got our joint game book that we have to do. I'm seeing that as a sort of as a separate entity. So I kind of want to get everything done and then work on that as well. So I don't mind if that goes past May, if you're all right with that, because obviously I think both of us have got responsibility for our main Kickstarter, and then the bonus book can come out after, if that's all right with you. I think that should be fine. Yes, other news is that there is the annual Hartford's or Hearts Book Festival that happens in May, I believe it is, and I think it's the 16th and 17th of May, or the 17th and 18th of May this year, and so I have shown an interest to have a stand, and I'm particularly excited this year because not only will I have my Grimace book and the Story Spark cards, which I've had for the last 2 years. And, you know, this is the importance of, you have to keep bringing out new books, basically. I will now this time have Of Magic and Monkeys. So I'm very excited about that. So, yeah, Of Magic and Monkeys. So it will just be interesting to see how well this book sells, because it's an actual novel, as opposed to my other book, which is a poetry saga, which obviously is less popular. But it shouldn't be. This is how we used to tell stories. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. And also I had thought, because I've got loads of time on my hand, that I wouldn't mind, I thought, maybe I could make more goblin heads. And then, and just say I had 10 goblin heads and just try and sell those. You know, just try and sell those. Just see if people want to buy these. And just, you know, and it's no big deal if I don't sell them, but I just thought it'd be quite cute. Because I think they're quite cute. And if someone says, what are they? I say, well, they're goblin heads, they're skeg heads, and they're paperweights. That's what I could call them, if they want a functional thing of what they do. The Witches of Kara is having the penultimate bit written before the coup de grace. I've mapped an idea for our double feature. Fantastic. So, Paranormal Hero, The Witches of Kara, is Jam's book, if people didn't know. And it's having the penultimate bit written before the coup de grace. Fantastic. You've mapped out idea for our double feature. Oh, okay, cool. So you're almost finished then. You're probably about 50 to 60, maybe 100 entries away from finishing, which is fantastic. That's very impressive. Yeah, it just takes a lot of time, doesn't it? And I'm finding, because you have to keep a track of things, and it's broken. It's kind of like you're writing broken stories. You know, you've got 3 different things going on, or whatever. You know, and so that takes up a lot of power, brain power, doesn't it? Jonathan's like, yeah, tell me about it. No wonder I drink whiskey every night. Then the type comes up. Yeah, so you write it hand. Yeah. I do not envy that, I must admit. I have typed mine as right from the beginning, so, you know, draft 1. So I don't envy you on that one, but good luck. I mean, if that's your method, that's your method. And when I used to handwrite and then type up, I found that the typing up was actually draft 2, because I'd rewrite stuff that I'd handwritten. So, you know. In Ferris is... well, it is for me, Martha, obviously. Is Furia. Is that how you pronounce it? Furia. Difficult to say. Well, for me, and I'm not the best person at pronouncing names and weird fancy names, it is, because I don't recognise the name. Not that you have to recognise the name, but I can't phonetically spell it because of the AA. That confuses me. It's like, why not just have one A? And if you have 2 A's, does that draw it out even more? So, Furia. Is it Furia? That's how I would say it, Furia. Like, I'm furrier than that bear, which is obviously a complete lie. The goblin heads can also act as pencil stands with 5... Yeah, I could put them in the back, couldn't I? Oh, that could be quite fun, yeah. Or even glasses stands if you have a nose. If they were bigger. That's a good idea, Lerin. Thank you. Jonathan is here. I hand wrote the first draft of my first 4 Fighting Fantasy game books, and then I typed them and edited them at the same time. Yeah, I effectively created my own shorthand. Yeah, that's what I started to do. When you transfer it from the written page to the typed page, you just automatically start changing it, I think. So it kind of can save you time. But I don't know, because writing it longhand I don't think is quicker than typing it. I'm not sure. I don't know, but it's whatever method. But I take it now you just type your first draft straight away. You don't still do longhand. Martha said, I was going to give my female bounty hunter another name, and yes, I will show how terrifying she is. Yes. Female bounty hunter. That sounds really cool, Martha. I like the idea of that. Female bounty hunter. And just, yeah, terrifying. I always like to sort of, not always, but I like to sort of, with a character, sometimes have contradictory characteristics. So if she's fierce, you know, she's a fierce bounty hunter who's ruthless, who wants to get her bounty, you know, not chocolate bar, you know, wants to get the bounty, get the money, that's how she earns her money. But then it could be that she, I don't know, looks after, you know, she rescues, you know, neglected stray dragons. No, not... Or baby dragons. Or some sort of cute animal. Just to show that, you know, she has got a soft side. Because I think it's nice to have that contrast. I do remember in Breaking Bad, I think it was. Was it Breaking Bad? Where you got one of the, you know, the drug dealing, sort of really horrible, nasty guy. You know, there's a scene where he goes and sees his father in hospital. I think this is Breaking Bad. And it's like really moving because he's really moved. He's, you know, he's in tears. He's like really cares for his father. And you kind of go, wow, he doesn't mind murdering other people and doing drug dealing, and he doesn't care what his drugs do to people. Yet there he is being all tender and tearful when he's, you know, he's visiting his dad in hospital. I thought, yeah, that's a really clever bit of writing. Because it was unexpected. So it gave that character more depth. Because I do think, you know, we're all capable of everything. We bought a bunch of clay puppy glasses. Hang on. We bought a bunch of clay puppy glasses stand from the Sunday market when we first moved to Australia in 1989. A functional yet adorable table. Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe if I make them functional. I like the pencil holder idea. Or, you know, the pen holder idea. Because in a way, it's almost like that's their hats. Not their hats, yeah, that's like their hair or something. I could do a couple with and without, I guess. Just to see, yeah, and see what sells the best. But, you know, I'd probably just sell them for like a £5. I don't think it would be that expensive. But I do think they're cute, and obviously, as I make more, I think I'll get better at it. Just like, in fact, I haven't really talked about the illustrations for my game book. Because, of course, I'm doing all the illustrations like the fool that I am. And I've just... Yeah, so I've got to... In fact, this week I'm probably going to order A4 bits of lino. And I'm going to do them after I've written all the game book, because then I can decide which 20 images I'm going to do. In fact, I need to do 30 because there's... the hardback, I think I've said I'm going to have 30 in. Leaving's put here to Martha. Ooh, hemlock or belladonna, dignified yet venomous flowers, perchance. Belladonna will fit very well. She's the king's best bounty hunter. It is crazy, isn't it? You know, what the stuff that we look up as writers. With my murder mystery game, I've been looking up very strange things, strange ideas. Talking of murder mysteries, well, it's not a murder, but Jonathan especially will be happy to know I've found another Edward Marston in the wild. Ticket to Oblivion. This is book number 11. It is causing me a little bit of distress, not really, that I'm reading these out of order, out of sequence. I do like to read book 1, 2, 3, 4, even if they're standalone, just because sometimes you see slight character development and slight changes in their personal life. But yes, it's another Railway Detective book, a thrilling new adventure for the Railway Detective. And yeah, so here's the mystery. 2 females, one is an upper class woman, one is her maid, get on a train at London. There's no stops in between. They're going to Oxford. When they get to Oxford, they're not there. They're not on the train. 2 people witness them get on the train, get into the carriage and close the carriage. And 2 people, you know, not just any 2 random people. One was their driver, and the other was the porter, you know, carried their bags, and they actually even tipped them a gold sovereign. So they definitely saw them, you know, go off. They didn't get off the train. And then the woman's cousin and her mother were going to meet them at Oxford. So they're waiting, you know, at the train, going at the platform, going, yeah, they're coming. Nothing. Couldn't see them. Didn't see them. Nothing. It's a mystery. What happened to them? What happened to them? The train was delayed slightly. Has that got something to do with it? We don't know. It's a mystery. I have finished. How about Nightshades? The go-to poison flower for Shakespearean times. Yeah, Deadly Nightshade. Yes, I have read the third Lovejoy book now. Oh no, that's the second one. The third Lovejoy book, The Grail Tree. Again, these are great. But, seriously, much grittier than the TV show. I can't believe how gritty they are. They're much grittier. And it kind of more feels like it's an episode of Minder than it does an episode of Lovejoy, which is kind of extraordinary. And they obviously made a decision to go, do you know what? We're not going to put that much violence in. We're not going to put that much grittiness in. And we're going to make him more of a lovable rogue rather than... He's a bit of a thug. He is a bit of a thug. And it is a bit like... It's kind of like with Jonathan Creek, if you found out that Jonathan Creek... So I've got something in my eye. If Jonathan Creek... You know, I love Jonathan Creek. He's not a violent person. You know, he solves, with his mind. He solves mysteries with his mind. And he's, he sort of evades any confrontation. And it would be like if you then went, yeah, they're not based on books as far as I know. Yeah, they're not based on books. It was a purely television thing. But it was like, yeah, there were some books, though. They're based on the Jonathan Creek books of the 70s, where Jonathan goes around starting fights and he's a bit leery. And it's like, what? How could you do that? It's a bit of a shock. But I do recommend them because they are very well written. They're an easy read, if you like. They're just... And there's a mystery going on. And also they're murder mysteries, which is... Lovejoy, the TV series, was never a murder mystery. It was never billed as a murder mystery. It was more of a schemes and scams, I think, wasn't it? Lovejoy was always up to something, trying to get the best antique, which is kind of still true in here. Yeah, he goes way beyond lovable rogue status. So yeah, but... So I'm reading them, though, as though they're set in the 70s because of the sort of... His attitude is quite 70s. So there we go. So if you want a bit of nostalgia... Jonathan has put it... In the original Inspector Morse book, Sergeant Lewis is older than Morse. Oh, is he? Oh, wow, that's interesting. So Morse was a little bit more actiony, was he, than Lewis? Maybe they... Yeah, maybe they definitely wanted... what was his name? Thor. John Thor? Yeah, John Thor, the actor, to play Inspector Morse. And they thought, he's fairly old anyway-ish. I guess he was in his 50s when he first started playing Morse. Maybe we need a younger person. Maybe that's why they did that. It's just interesting, isn't it? The creative decisions that are made. And I do have some more news with Guildlands. This is the tile laying game that's coming out in the UK, launching it at the UK Games Expo. Guildlands, Roland, Guildlands. It's either Guildlands or Guildlands. You decide. That's coming out in, so it'd be the end of May, isn't it? The sort of first couple of days of June. And... that has now been completely signed off and sent to the printers. Hurrah! Hurrah. We needed to get it done. Mark, the graphic designer, worked his little socks off over the last sort of 3 weeks, maybe even a month, trying to get all this sorted. Blue did a fantastic job with all the illustration work. Paul from Cheatwell Games, he's like the coordinator. He's like, I don't know what you call it, the project manager. He's the one that commissions the games. but he then was like driving everything and coordinating everything. And then Kedrick and myself were part of the process, which I think is very cool of the publisher, of Paul, to do that. Where we proofread stuff, we overlook stuff, we approve stuff. We all kind of had a voice about the look of things and what artists we should use, and and the design of the cover and all of that. We kind of, they were very open to all of that, so that's fantastic. So we've spent quite an intense, say 6 weeks working on that, because it's quite furious, because Mark, he's a full-time graphic designer, so he's a freelance graphic designer. So basically, he that's the project he was working on. So it all just becomes very intense, and so Kedrick and I are getting 6, 7, 8 emails a day of going, right, this is the latest update. This is the latest update. Can you prove that? Can you look at that? Can you look at that? It's like, right, okay. And the thing is, it's like, yeah, we're not employees of Cheatwell and Outset Media, so we don't have to look at it there and then. However, because it's Kedrick and I's game, we don't want to slow it down. We want to hit the deadline so we can get the game made and shipped to the UK in time for the expo. So, I hadn't really envisaged that in my game book writing timetable. So there you go. Hang on. Let's see if my eyesight. Valak, is that how you'd pronounce it? Valak, difficult to say. I don't think that is difficult to say, Martha. Valak seems okay. That's nice. It's quite a. For me, Valak almost means virtuous or victorious. It kind of has that feel to it. Jam has put it to Jonathan, you just reminded me of an old joke. How do Vikings communicate over long distances? Norse code. Yes, you said it right. Hurrah! I am useful. So yeah, and also, just to let you know, I don't know if I've ever said this yet. I was going to reveal it another time. I think I have said this. Let me know if you have heard this before. Now, the Crooked Crown, which is Kedrick and I's little card game. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've talked about this. We are doing another card game set in the same universe, set in the same Goblin-esque universe. And in fact, I did think the next Goblin I should do is the Crooked Crown Goblin. Maybe I should make all those. So we're going to set it in the same universe, the Goblin universe that we've created, and it's called the Wonky Wand. I'm pretty sure I've told you about this, the Wonky Wand. So this is a prototype version, and it's a card game again. So it's going to be familiar. We still want the ethos of the Crooked Crown in the game. Is that the word, ethos? So it's going to be similar but different. So with the Crooked Crown, everybody wants the Crooked Crown, but in the Wonky Wand, nobody really wants the Wonky Wand. So players play goblins who are trying to impress the new goblin ruler. So we've kind of, as though, you've played the Crooked Crown, there's a new goblin ruler, and the goblin ruler wants to know who his best wizard is. So he or she, whoever the new goblin ruler is, says, right, you need to bring me 5 mana crystals to prove that. So each goblin, each player will get given a wand, of which the Wonky Wand is in play. So the Wonky Wand is always in play. Now the other wands have special abilities, although there is a version without special abilities, but special abilities on the wand. Now the Wonky Wand, though, you have to roll a dice because it's wonky. You don't quite know if it's going to cast a spell properly or not. So you roll a dice. So you lay a card to play your spells. So there's different types of spells, and everyone simultaneously chooses a spell to play, and they can play multiple of the same spell. And before everyone turns over their cards to see what spells they're playing, well, not before, but you turn them all over. Now, you might have wanted to cast, say, a drain power spell. However, you have to roll the dice, and it might choose you a different spell. Yeah, so you're not 100% sure. So again, you try to get rid of the wonky wand. So one spell is swap wands, so you can swap the wands around. So that is the game. Make sure you keep it on a leash so it doesn't wander. So that's basically the game, and we've been playtesting it now. We have been developing this on and off for, say, the last 3 months now. But again, because this is like, it's not high priority, sometimes you get a flurry of activity on a project, and you'll know this, and then something else takes priority, and you're like, right, this is actually more important. I'm going to have to put this on the back burner. So we've not done a lot with this since we've had to look at Guildlands. But what Kedrick and I decided to say was that... Now, I've playtested this a few times now with my playtesting group. And what I'm also going to do is ask if I can, ask anyone that wants to play it down at my board gaming group, where it's not a playtesting group, but every now and again, you can sort of say, I know it's not a published game, but do you mind playtesting this prototype for me? And they'll be all right with it, especially this game, because it is only 20 minutes. Well, no, it's 40 minutes to play. Make sure you keep it on a leash. So yeah, prioritize meter tubes. TM. Julian always puts me TM. So there's that. So that's the next one that's sort of in the background, as well as my murder mystery, Devilish Deaths. Now with that, I do actually want to get that completely done and ready, and a prototype ready, and send off. I want to do a little video to show you how to play it, and then just literally just an overview video as a pitch video, as a sell video. Then send it out to publishers, but then say I'm going to be at the UK Games Expo. If you'd like, I could show it to you. So that is basically another plan that's rumbling in the background. Now, and this is where you can get really distracted from. That's not my game, but from writing my main project. So at the moment, I'm really trying to keep focused on my game book, my murder mystery game, because that's pretty much done now. That's pretty much ready for pitching, and the wonky wand as well. So it's all exciting stuff. Anything else to tell you? I think that's it. We're coming up for the hour. These have now spawned into an hour, haven't they? Yes, so there we go. So Jonathan, how is your Shakespeare versus Cthulhu coming along? Spider Tea. I used to love Spider-Man as a kid. Loved it. Can't remember what it was called. Was it The New Adventures of Spider-Man? I can't remember. It's really classic. It's classic early 80s it would have been. Early 80s Spider-Man. It might have even been late 70s Spider-Man. That is pretty good going. Oh, so close to that 300 mark. 297 sections of 500. That's pretty good going. So, are you on target? Stay on target. Yeah, 500. See, it's funny, isn't it? Oh, it's funny because even though that's really good, and I've got 250. I've got 150 left. 250. Yeah, I've got 150 entries left. I'm still going, but that's still going to take time. It's like, I've done so well, but so near and yet so far. No. Oh, bless. But see, again, you've got other, priorities as well, haven't you? Because you're a hired gun. You're a hired writer. The thing is, though, Jonathan, obviously you've built up a lot of credit over the years with your game books, so people will understand. Real life gets in the way. Yeah, I've been collared for overtime. Yeah, exactly, Jam. Absolutely. Jonathan Spear, I'm loving writing it, though, but it's going to be a real Marmite book. Oh, interesting. Okay. I guess, I mean, it's a great concept, Shakespeare versus Cthulhu. Do you mean that if you're a Shakespeare fan, you may not like it because of the Cthulhu thing? And if you're a Cthulhu fan, you might not like it because of the Shakespeare thing? Frankly, I love Marmite. I think I've grown to like Marmite. Thank goodness. The secret to Marmite is not to put too much on it. You don't need a lot on it. That's for me anyway. Thank goodness, says Lee Rin, Mark Twain writes in much more breezy and conversational manner than Herman Melville. Not sure. I've not heard of Herman Melville, because it makes the adventures of Tom and Huck page turners, whereas Moby Dick, okay, in comparison, is a challenge to one's attention span and mental stamina. Yeah, that's an interesting debate as well. Just because something's easy to read, does it mean it's not any good? I guess the answer's it is good, because Tom Sawyer is a classic, isn't it? It has a lot of Shakespeare quotes in it, which I think some people are going to hate. Oh, okay. Have you put that in as conversational, though? I mean, do you know what, though, Jonathan? It might be how it's done. And also, a lot of people don't necessarily know Shakespeare quotes as well. I know a handful. I wouldn't know loads. But I think what I would be looking for would be its conversation and description. I'm not going to change it. Yeah. Fair enough. Exactly. Stick to your guns. Give over. Lots of Marmite. Oh, I see. Jam's like, just slather it all in and all over your body. No, that's something. That's Valentine's Day. Get your Marmite today. It's conversational and descriptive. Yeah. What I would like from a Shakespeare versus Cthulhu, I definitely want, if it's set in the Shakespeare era, I want to feel like I'm in the Shakespeare era. And if that means, the sort of language of the time, then I'd be fine with that. I wouldn't, you have to have that flavour, don't you? And then obviously I want monsters. I want Cthulhu. I want monsters and people going insane and that kind of thing. Get your mind out of the gutter. All right, don't change it. The title is clear. Yeah, the title is clear. Absolutely. Ding for Lerin. Oh, what did he put? Oh, I see your mind. There it is. Then you'd be happy, Ken. Oh, good stuff, Jonathan. Yeah, exactly. I think, Jam's summed it up beautifully. The title is very clear. It's Shakespeare versus Cthulhu. So if you go in thinking, there's not going to be much Shakespeare, I think you're going to... That's on them. That really is on them. Sally's put here, the Shakespeare is what I'm most excited about. There we go. So there we are. I do think... I might be wrong, but when people look at that, you're probably going to get people who love Shakespeare put off less than people that like Cthulhu. That would be my feeling. So you go, I really love Cthulhu, but I don't like Shakespeare. I'm not going to get it. As opposed to, I really love Shakespeare. Oh, this looks fun. What? This is unusual. Let's give that a go. I don't know. I might be wrong. Obviously, I've not done any market research. Why should I? I've literally just thought of it now. I like cheese. Edam is my favourite. It's made backwards. Whoa, past the cat cafe. 5 kittens. Thing is, with cat cafes, I can never eat more than 2 or 3 of them. and they always have to be on toast. Darn, it's closed. We'll have lunch there tomorrow. I had one fan, says Jonathan, who was disappointed that Beowulf Beastslayer wasn't more like early Fighting Fantasy games book. But I'm not interested in writing the same book over and over again. Yeah. There's nothing you can do about that. That's out of your control, isn't it? Again, the clue's in the title. Yeah, the clue is in the title. And it's not... I can see where they're coming from, because they might have known that you'd written Fighting Fantasy game books and thought, oh, it's going to be exactly like that. But I think that's a learning curve on their behalf, because it wasn't part of the Fighting Fantasy series. It's part of your own series. And I think that might have been the first one. Yeah, it was the first one that I'd read of yours. And I came in with no expectations. I think that's the best way to do it, though, isn't it? Because it was like... I'd interviewed you a couple of times and I kind of knew you. And I do remember thinking, will Jonathan be okay with me messing about whilst reading his book? I've got more silly over the years, actually. When I first started doing them, I was quite serious doing it. But yeah, and also I just couldn't pronounce any of the names, as you probably realised. Again, the clue's in the title. Yeah, maybe they hadn't heard of Beowulf. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I do remember the sections were certainly longer. It was a different mechanic system, all of that. But yeah, there's not a lot you can do about that, obviously. And you're right. You need to write the books that excite you, because otherwise, if you're not, if the author isn't excited, or the designer of a game isn't excited about their own game or their own book, why should anyone else get excited about it? So you do have to really want to write that. I love, I've been influenced by Fighting Fantasy, obviously. I've been influenced by, Jonathan's books, partly by Jam's books, although we've only done one of Jam's books, I think. And Lone Wolf, and all the other game books that I've played, up to a point, some more than others. Certainly Fighting Fantasy has had a massive influence on me, like it has on all of us. And also the game Talisman. You'll notice loads of little Easter eggs in my game book that's to do with Talisman. And so when I created my game book, yes, I was influenced by Fighting Fantasy, but I didn't want to write a Fighting Fantasy game book because that's not my IP. I don't want it to be exactly the same. So I changed it up. You change it up. You get influenced by them, but you don't copy. Jam has put here, like actors get bored of the set of a role before viewers get bored of watching them. Yeah, exactly. PH3, Paranormal Hero 3 has 2 extra skills in. Yeah, exactly. You got to write what you want to write, basically. The last project, says Jonathan, I was working on felt like pulling teeth. Yeah, the days of just flying by writing my own ace. Yeah, the days are just flying by. Yeah. And again, that is the beauty, isn't it? If you're completely in creative control, you don't have to. It doesn't have to go through X amount of other filters, and you haven't got those other rules set up. So that's the massive advantage. And Sally and I were talking about this the other day. It's like, I'm very fortunate, I've been a graphic designer. I still do freelance graphic design. I've designed a book cover just recently. I literally just signed off on a book cover. Well, kind of signed off on a book cover for an author, and I just thought, what is the advantage of getting published by a publisher over self-publishing? And because I can do the illustrations, because I can do the typesetting, because I can do the graphic design, because I can do the upload to Amazon and do a digital version, because I can write the book, sing the theme tune, hum the theme tune, what does a publisher offer me? And the only thing the publisher offers me that I can't do is the marketing side of it, the media side of it, the social media side of it. getting in contact with radio stations, getting the book in front of people, getting the book into shops, getting the book distributed widely, getting the book translated into 17 different languages if it warrants it. Yet I know, sort of by speaking to other people, if you're a first-time author, they might get all of that publicity, and it depends on the company as well. If it's a small company, you probably won't get a lot of publicity. Whereas if it is a big publisher, yeah, you'll get all that initially, but then on the next one, they don't really push them. They're always constantly pushing new authors. So, don't get me wrong, if a publisher came along and said, we'd love to publish your books, I'd probably go with it. But then I wouldn't expect to do all the typesetting, the cover, all the extra stuff. It'd be like, yeah, okay, I'm just writing this. But then I'm losing creative control a little bit, because they would want to choose the artist. They would want to, this is what the cover's going to look like. So I think you were doing most of the talking. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. As soon as I said Sally and I were talking about it, I was going to interject my own sentence by saying, well, I was talking, Sally was kind of vaguely staring off into the distance. I basically, the conversation literally was basically what you've just heard now, but with Sally going, yeah, yeah, and looking at her watch every now and again. Look at the time, exactly that, yeah. Cool. Well, it was just a warm-up. I've got to practice these live sessions, these improvised sessions. What you guys don't realise is I spend all night typing up exactly what I'm saying. I'm reading it off a script. Look. Reading it off a script. It takes me 4 hours to type up these. Yes, Martha is absolutely correct. Look at the time. It's nearly 1 hour, possibly dozing off. Everyone thinks she's joking. She's not. I do have that effect on most women. So there we are. Thank you so much for indulging me and my conversation. It's been lovely to see you guys again. I do like these little chats because it's just casual. We can chat about anything if we want to. We can stick to fantasy. We can talk about board games. It just so happens that at the moment it is game book heavy, because that's kind of the project I'm on. And I do try to vary the conversation, even though I've just been pretty much working on my game book. So I try to make it a little bit more interesting. Good night, everybody, says Lirin. Hot drink, all hot chocolate. Sally said, have a lovely weekend, everyone. Jonathan here has snuck in quite a long text right at the end. But anyway, let's read it out. He probably was typing it out way before. I went to a panel at FantasyCon once titled The Difficult Second Novel. The panel were all relatively new novelists. Some hadn't even had their first book published yet. Many of them had signed 3-book deals. Not many of those authors are still published. And some had their contracts cancelled before they even had a 3rd book published. Wow. Have a nice weekend, Jam. Yes, thank you, and to you. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Again, if you're self-published, you go through with it. That's the whole point. So if you've planned to write 3 books, so say you get signed on you get signed on a 3-book contract, you'd go, great, my 3-book trilogy is going to get out there into the world. And then they cancel it after 1 book. It's like, wow, or even the 2nd book. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, what do you do? That's annoying. That must be so frustrating. Whereas at least with self-publishing, there's nobody to go, yeah, cancelling it. And, and if you haven't got money up front, you just publish to Amazon. You just do print on demand, and you do, digital version, yeah. So you can do it. I guess, that's what I'm saying. I'm lucky, as in I can typeset it, I can do all of that. So it doesn't cost me anything physically. It costs me time, but not money. By the time Shakespeare vs. Cthulhu comes out, it'll be 3 years since last. I think it was 3 years. Wow, I hadn't realised. Ronin 47, I can't imagine big publisher would be happy with that. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Although, you imagine if you're the publisher of The Hobbit and you think, oh, that was a big hit, great. So, Tolkien, what you got next? Go. 14 years later, he delivers Lord of the Rings. You're like, what happened? Did you fall asleep at your desk? Yeah, no, exactly. So this is why the Kickstarter model can be good. You do need to persist with it, and you know, Jam's successfully got Kickstarters going. Savage Realms seem to be doing really well. They're taking on new authors, I see on their Facebook post, which is fantastic. So they seem to be really growing and expanding. And Ollie Mack is a classic example of somebody doing really well self-publishing. There's also that Matt Bayton, but I can't pronounce his name. Brighton, who did Escape from Sherwood Forest, or I think it was that one. You know, I know he's self-published. He looks like he's doing pretty well. So Beaton, that's it. So, you know, I think you've just got to keep going. That's the thing. You've just got to keep doing it. And hopefully over time, you can build up your audience. Anyway, I better go because I've been rambling on for far too long. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Yahoo! Walker 11 kilometres today. You're going to walk 11 kilometres today? Well, congratulations, Lee Rin. Better you than me, but well done. No, I like playing squash. Oh, you walked. You've already walked 11 kilometres today. Another round of applause. Thank you so much. You better wrap this up then. Thank you, Lee Rin. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Jam. Thank you, Sally. Thank you. Is that everybody that's commented? I think it is. Thank you, everybody that watched that didn't comment. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you to Grocklesnook for not turning me into a toad. He didn't know that. He's got that ability. He does like to eat toads as well. Yes, thank you, everybody. Good night. Sleep well. And have a lovely, lovely weekend if you're coming into your weekend. I've got another murder mystery tonight, so that's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And tomorrow I'm doing a beer and board game Sunday again. We do it once a month in my local pub. So there's normally about anywhere from 2 of us to like 6, I think was the most, or 7, 6, yeah. I don't really advertise it as such. It's kind of just some friends that we just get together. So that's really cool. So I'm really looking forward to that. Have a lovely weekend. And remember, may your thieving never be caught. Bye, everybody.